The Houston Texans are banged up at running back, and they may have to start Cam Akers this week. We're watching the practice reports for Friday, but a lot of people have questions on Cam Akers, whether or not they need him for fantasy football to pick him up, to play him, or whatever. And that's different for everybody depending on their team, the format of their league, whether it's a redraft team or a deep redraft team that's like 16 teams, 14 teams, or how decimated they are at running back. Really depends on your situation, but we're going to deep dive the metrics, the Houston Texans, to see whether or not you need him for fantasy football so you can make the most sound decision for yourself. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're doing these deep dives every day. We're covering multiple players every day. We'll have more players tomorrow. We go deep on the waiver wire every day, and we use these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button right there. Stop missing out. Join the party. But we got to figure out Cam Akers. That's what we're here to do. And Joe Mixon remains out of practice. He has not been practicing, and he could be out this week's game. Also, they're trying to remain optimistic, but we got to pay attention to this backfield. Dameon Pierce has been dealing with injuries as well. Did not suit up last week. It sounds like, from what I've been paying attention to, that he may not play, but if he does, that's really going to impact things for Cam Akers, him as well, and it could be a committee for the week. But Cam Akers played last week and 21% share of the snaps. He fumbled and got yanked for a little bit. He fumbled in that matchup. That could impact him in this week. That could impact him this week. I can't make that call. I don't know if it will or not, but that could happen. He did fumble last week with his opportunities, but remember, he's coming back from an Achilles tear. He's a player, if not to at least root for, as a comeback player to do something on the field, because his injury history is quite impressive. 2 Achilles tears, we got AC sprains, soft tissue injuries, everything else mixed in there, and then we get to preseason. Everybody forgot about Cam Akers, and then all of a sudden, he starts reeling off runs, and nobody was really predicting him to make this team, and then all of a sudden he does it. Average 3.08 yards after contact per attempt, 74 yards after contact, using the passing game, scores a touchdown. On top of that, 9.1 yards after the catch per reception. And we watched the clips from that, and he's not losing much of that burst. He's got some of that back. How much and how long you can hold it for, we don't know. We don't know, but it's back. We can root for that. That was kind of fun to watch in preseason, and we might get a taste of that. We might get a taste of that on Sunday. Even if you pick him up on fantasy or not, it's going to be interesting to see. It's an interesting player to root for. A comeback story to look at for Cam Akers. At one time, one of the most explosive running backs in the NFL. That's why people were excited about him as he got drafted in the second round to the Rams, because there was a lot of potential, but we really did not live up to it. We did have some moments, but we were often injured or in McVay's doghouse. McVay loves dependable running backs, so like that fumble we saw last week, missing holds, anything helter-skelter, you're going to get yanked. And with the Texans, we got to see if it's like that, or if they're going to shoot on this upside here with the burst and speed. They kept him. They signed him to the roster. He was able to play last week. Considering what we saw these last few years with these injuries, that is a major turnaround. That's something to pay attention to. That's something to root for at the very least. And you're looking at this backfield. Joe Mixon might be out. Dameon Pierce might be out. But Old Dare's there. Old Dare's there. And he is a very dependable running back. He's not over the moon or anything like that. He'll catch balls out of the backfield. He's good finding the hole. He's just always going to be there. He might siphon some of the workload, if not a lot of it. And we're looking at this backfield. Cam Akers was getting work. He had 7 rushing attempts in one game, 32 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry. He just had that fumble. Dare was in there as well. 2 rushing attempts, 3 yards. He's good in the passing game. And you're looking at this matchup against the Vikings. We got a 46 over-under, so this game script might get pushed. The Vikings were in a weird game script against the Giants. Remember, Danny Dimes couldn't move the football, and everybody was making fun of him the next day. The running backs couldn't do anything, and that was impacted by just the offense, 28-6 in that game. So, of course, they were leaning more on the pass, which was not working out too well for the Giants. So, really, when you look at their ability to stifle running backs in fantasy football production, you look at Jordan Mason, 17.4. He didn't go off for a 20 spot or nothing, but he was able to be productive with volume. volume is probably going to be the key here. Usage in the passing game is probably going to be key here. And the fact Dare's going to siphon some passing game work. If he's the guy in the backfield, if we're left with those two in the Houston backfield, might impact his upside, might impact his floor as well. That being said, Cam Akers, you're expecting him, or you're hoping for him to explode through the hole with a couple big runs and get that touchdown. That's what you're hoping for. And when you're looking at him on the waiver wire to pick up, you don't need him because you're good at running back, and you should not be stupid with this because this could be getting too cute for you because you're good at running back. But for those guys who are absolutely decimated, they're screwed at running back, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that's Cam Akers. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. There's also a point where Joe Mixon might be back, and this may not happen. There's also a point that might happen. I'm putting that out there because I'm filming this early to make sure it gets in on time for you guys so you guys can have that information. There's a chance Joe Mixon is back from what we're seeing, but it's lofty. We don't know. But the thing about this, when we're looking at Cam Akers in this situation, it's a big risk. It's a big gamble here, but it could pay off massively. I would not take that gamble if I'm good at running back. I got some mid-level running backs. That's okay and decent matchups. I wouldn't take that gamble. I definitely would not take a gamble with any of my top running backs that I start every week. I would not do that. If I have weekly starters at running back that I'm good with, I ain't looking at this. I ain't looking at this. Another thing, too, if you're going up against someone who's decimated at running back, or if you're looking at another team in your league who's decimated at running back for the week, who's looking to pick them up, and you got a spot, you got a guy you don't care to drop, so they can't get him for those touches off the waiver wire, you may want to do that. You may want to do that just to hold, just so they can't get the touches, just so they cannot benefit from this matchup, just in case he scores. You might want to do that so you can hurt somebody else in your league. That's some other strategy you may want to look at. It's more than just player good, player bad. Player scores fantasy points, player doesn't score fantasy points. You also got to think about the situation here. Look at your league. Look at the teams that are hurting at running back. Are they 2-0? Are they 1-1? Are they in a matchup where if he scores 10 fantasy points, will that be enough to put him over because they're good at wide receiver, flex, and they got one good running back in? If so, you may want to pick that guy up. That way, that guy can get an extra loss that can help you on further down the road in your season, in the standings, for your fantasy league. There's more than just picking up a player and starting him. It's more than that. I don't really advise starting him unless you absolutely have to. Unless you absolutely have to. Some of you do need to. Some of you do, and you know it. You don't even need this video. You know it. But you want to see the confirmation bias. I'm saying it's okay. Sometimes you're hurt and you got to put the Band-Aid on. He's a good Band-Aid if you need it. Cam Akers is that. But if you're good at running back, you're feeling good, your guys are getting touches, you're feeling safe with it, don't get too cute. And he might explode. He might. He fumbled last week. Coming back from the Achilles. They may pass it more. They may use Dare a little bit more than what you want. Joe Mixon might be back. He might be used intermittently. By the time you watch this, he might be out, though. Maybe Dameon Pierce sneaks in. Maybe he muddies the waters. But you do not absolutely need Cam Akers. But some of you do. Some of you do. And if you do, you know. You know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.